It's been one of those weeks where the world feels a bit too heavy on my shoulders. Work's been a drag, and I've been swimming in this sea of loneliness. So when Jenna invited me to her party tonight, something inside me said to go, even though every other part of me screamed to stay in. Maybe I need this. A break from the deafening silence of my apartment. Who knows? It might even lift my spirits. I wish I could say Jenna's party was the break I needed, but it wasn't. The music was too loud, the conversations too shallow. I felt like a ghost drifting through clusters of laughing faces. I remember nursing a drink, something fruity and potent Jenna handed to me, insisting I needed to loosen up, and then things get foggy. The room started spinning, voices became echoes in a tunnel, and my feet felt like they were melting into the floor. I remember trying to call out, but my words were lost in the abyss of noise. Darkness crept in, swallowing me whole. I woke up to the sterile smell of a hospital room, a drip attached to my arm. My head was pounding and my thoughts were a scrambled mess. The doctor said I was lucky. Someone found me passed out and called an ambulance. What happened? How did I end up here? My mind was racing, but no answers came. Something is wrong. I left the hospital this morning, but the world outside doesn't feel like mine. The sky is a shade too dark, the streets eerily silent. People pass by like shadows, their faces blurred, their eyes empty. It's like I'm walking through a dream or a nightmare. I'm not crazy, I know I'm not, but what I'm seeing, it's impossible to explain. The city is twisted, a darker mirror of itself. Buildings loom over me like menacing giants. The air is thick with a sense of dread. I hear whispers in the wind calling out my name, but when I turn, there's nothing there. Last night was the most terrifying of my life. My fears, my worst memories, they're all here, playing out in front of me like some sick theater. I saw my childhood home, but it was decaying, the walls bleeding with my old insecurities. Faces from my past appeared, but twisted, distorted by my deepest anxieties. I'm trapped in a world that's feeding off my darkest thoughts. Last night, I found myself standing at the edge of what seemed like an endless void. It was like staring into the depths of my own soul. Figures from my nightmares were reaching out, trying to pull me in. I felt the terror, the urge to succumb, but then something within me ignited, a spark of defiance. I realized these horrors were my own fears, my own creation. In that moment of clarity at the abyss, I understood. The chills of comprehension ran down my spine, each vertebra echoing my realization. The darkness stretched out below me, a gaping expanse of nothingness that was simultaneously terrifying and tempting. I found myself at the edge of a precipice, a monumental choice looming before me. Down below was the parallel universe, an uncanny replica of my own reality, a twisted mirror that taunted me with its grotesque reflections. I knew then what I had to do. The understanding came to me like a sudden flash of lightning in the middle of a dark, stormy night. It was a revelation, a divine intervention, an ethereal epiphany that highlighted my path. To escape this parallel nightmare, I had to confront it. I could not turn away, could not recoil in fear, nor could I choose to remain ignorant. The darkness was not going to, I had to step into it. So I dived into the void. It was not an act of desperation, but one of courage. I surged forward, the chilling winds screaming past me as I plunged into the unknown. I was entering my own heart of darkness, the embodiment of my fears. The terrifying images and scenarios that I had pushed to the corners of my mind, the fears that I had buried deep within my psyche, all of them came rushing back to me in a horrifying onslaught. Monsters, demons, shadows, and of my past mistakes all stared back at me with gleaming eyes, sharp fangs, and malicious grins. It was terrifying and liberating at the same time. The feeling of facing my fears was like tearing off a bandage. It was a sharp, painful sting at first, but then it was followed by a strange sense of relief. I was no longer hiding, no longer running away. I was standing my ground, acknowledging that resided within me. I confronted the demons, tackled the monsters, and wrestled with the shadows that were my own creation. As I battled my fears, I felt a strange power surge within me. It was a primal, raw energy that stemmed from my very core, a force that I didn't realize I possessed. I fought with all my might, and slowly the fears began to recede. I felt a sense of victory, a sense of accomplishment. I had conquered my own nightmares, faced my own demons, and emerged victorious. When I finally opened my eyes, I was back in my own bed, the morning sun casting a gentle light through my window. It was a comforting sight, the familiar surroundings of my room offering a stark contrast to the terrifying parallel universe I had just escaped from. The soft rays of the morning sun played on my face, warming my skin and soothing my weary soul. I reveled in the peace and tranquility that the stark contrast to the tumultuous journey I had just undertaken. Was it all just a dream? The question echoed in my mind, reverberating off the walls of my consciousness. My heart pounded in my chest, the adrenaline from my dream still coursing through my veins. It was as if I had run a marathon in my sleep, my body deeply exhausted, but my mind wide awake. I'm still processing what happened. The experience had been too real, too vivid to merely dismiss as of my imagination. Every detail of that parallel universe was etched into my memory. The horrifying images and terrifying creatures a stark reminder of the journey I had undertaken. I found myself contemplative, reflective, and introspective. Every moment of that journey, every fear I had faced, every victory I had achieved, they all added up to a profound understanding of myself. That journey through a dark parallel of my world, it changed something in me. It was not just a physical change, but an emotional and psychological one as well. I felt different, transformed, as if I had been reborn. I was no longer a person who had hesitated at the precipice of the abyss, but a warrior who had dived headfirst into the void and emerged victorious. I felt stronger, more resilient, more capable than I had ever felt before. I became more aware of the shadows I carry within. I understood that we all have our fears, our doubts, and our insecurities. These are not weaknesses, but part of who we are. They shape us, mold us, and make us who we are. To accept them is to accept ourselves. Understand them is to understand ourselves. This newfound self-awareness was a precious gift from that terrifying journey. Maybe we all have our parallel universes, our own dark sides to face. Each of us has our own demons to conquer, our own fears to face, and our own shadows to acknowledge. Perhaps these parallel universes are not external realities, but internal landscapes that we must navigate in our journey of self-discovery. I'm just grateful I found my way back. It was a journey of self-discovery, a journey of transformation, a journey of acceptance, and a journey of victory. It had been a terrifying, yet liberating experience. I had faced my fears, faced my shadows, and faced myself. I had dived into the abyss and emerged stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. I found my way back not just to my physical reality, but to my true self. This experience, real or not, it has left a mark on me. I see the world a bit differently now. The shadows don't scare me as much. They're just a part of this intricate tapestry of life. I've learned that sometimes to find the light, you have to brave the darkness.